Hello. Here we are. How good does this look? This looks fucking sick. This is like, it reminds me of peacock feathers. Got this a couple of days ago from my wife, Janina, as an early birthday present. And she set up this, like, in our office space now. So, welcome, by the way. We're back. We've got like a little puja table here. We've got these little Buddhas. This Buddha was given to me actually from Murphy, who's the cacao ceremony specialist, the beautiful soul, who taught me about cacao. And then I've got this little white Buddha here, my little offerings, my puja table. Got the essential oils. Right now we've got some Spanish sage, as I lit the sage over here. I've got the cacao. And also it comes with this awesome yellow cushion, because yellow is my favorite color. Also Einstein's. And this Himalayan salt rock. Then we've got the Radiant Sutras. We've got some Super Attractor, Gabrielle Bernstein cards. And of course, Daddy Ramdas be here now. So here we are. Episode 28, man. I was thinking about it yesterday. I remember being on Maddie Gamble's podcast, episode 28. And that was like last year, a few months ago now. And I was just thinking, holy shit, like we're into 28 now for Mark Mack being me, which is pretty cool. This one's called Finding My Path. And it was inspired from this dude, Victor Oddo, who is a teacher, I guess, like a spiritual guy. And he's in this program that I'm doing, this 3-week free program, Full-Time Purpose, with this other guy. You might have heard of him, Aaron Daldy. And another guy called Matt. I can't remember his last name, but Aaron Daldy, I remember following him a little while ago, a few years back, and just really resonating with his energy. And I've done a course with him before. I was on his first breathwork ever, his first ever breathwork session. He did it live on Zoom. And I remember being in that experience, just laying down on the floor. It was midnight my time. And it was an incredible experience. And right at the end of it, there's this Johnny Cash song playing. And I remember just floating out of my body. And just like saying, like, bye, Mark, goodbye, Mark, sort of thing. And like just tears coming out of me. It was quite a surreal experience. But yeah, but I've been doing this 3-week Find Your Purpose program. And this dude, Victor Oddo, had there's like a video that we're watching. You know, you get videos, you watch it, you do homework or sort of things. Just basically self-reflection, like what comes up for you, what are the thoughts, all the shit that I love. And, you know, the first thought actually starting the whole program was that I didn't actually see until I seen it. Was, fuck, here we go, not another program, don't waste your time. Why you keep distracting yourself? What's Janina going to think? Oh, he's doing another program, here we go. And so I seen those thoughts and I was like, holy shit. Before even starting something, I'd already self-sabotaged myself, and not allowed myself to experience whatever was going to come of this 3-week program, which is a beautiful thing to see. And then I set the intention, I got the sage out, made it real, you know. So, the video that I was watching is Victor Oddo. He's talking about the purpose journey, and it got me inspired to share, I guess, my purpose journey, my experience, the path, finding my way. Maybe you can relate to it, or maybe you can see at different stages in this journey where you're at. And I thought that'd be really cool to reflect on my own experience. So there's 2 parts to this. The first 4 in part 1 is, number 1 is the calling, and the refusal, the nudge, and the guide. So let's go into part 1, the calling right now. I just felt like the whole room just dropped then. So the calling. I would say inside all of us there is this natural force of nature this sense of being, this happiness that wants to be expressed. And that, what I love to come back to, is so effortlessly expressed in children, in my kids and my 3 girls. So today is Ella's 6th birthday party too. So it's going to be awesome. And we just have this freedom of expression, and we're not really tied to the constraints of society or expectations or this upbringing, this structure that we fall into wherever we're living. It forms from our parents, society, growing up in certain cultures, religions, different ideologies, and then the school structure from teachers, friends, all these life experiences, they form this construct of this identity. And it's almost like we're being hypnotized into this character. We become this character, and we just play, and we get really good at playing that character. I am really good at playing Mark. But I created another character too, called the Slank. And when you're really good at playing a character, you take a lot of things personally, because this character takes in a lot of different beliefs about themselves, which I'll get into a little bit as we get into the different parts. But the calling, I feel, is there's an innate calling within our being, that we are here to be here. And then we do get swept up in the happenings of life. So it starts with the calling, and it's like that, coming back to that childlike way of being. I think we'll leave it at that. The refusal. So number 2 is a refusal. So I guess for me, the refusal would be refusing to know who I am, and just not really having any self-confidence, not really knowing who I am. And so as that character, Mark, was built through childhood, he definitely suppressed a lot of emotions, wouldn't really express himself fully, in fear of failure, definitely in fear of saying the wrong thing and being judged, and too scared to say anything, so I might as well just not say anything. In a lot of circumstances, throughout school, I'd be very attentive, very quiet, and listen to everyone speak. And of course, there was a part of me as well that was like the class clown, that would just act up and say things to get attention, to get the laughs. That was happening too. But the whole refusal going on was, there was a refusal of actually, knowing who I am. There was a refusal of allowing myself to be with myself and finding out what I am here for. Who am I? There's a refusal of a lot of things. But it's almost as well like you know your calling and you're refusing it. You know there's more to life, but you're still drinking alcohol and you're still doing the things that I would do, like in my early 20s, a little bit of drugs mixed with alcohol all the time. Started drinking when I was 17. And that was the way, that was the culture, especially growing up in Kalgoorlie, the wild, wild west, which this place is like, if you know where Perth, West Australia is, the most isolated capital city in the world. I think it goes 600 or so kilometres inland from there. That was Kalgoorlie. And, it's sort of a culture of, there was like a pub on every corner sort of thing. You're either into your sports as you grow up, and then you reach an age where you can drink, and so you're at parties drinking, and then you go to the pubs. And it was just instilled in me, and through my family as well, my upbringing and the background of heavy drinkers, especially on Friday nights, happy hour. And I guess I sort of fell into that, and in a way, I was just refusing knowing who I am, and just falling into my environment. And for a long time, I'd blame my environment. But that was up until the nudge. So the nudge is like, you get a few signs, you get a few synchronicities, you get a few too good to be true moments where they just keep happening, though, just to remind you, like, oh, there's something more, there's something here, right? And the biggest one that shifted a lot, almost everything really, although a lot of things led up to this big thing, the nudge for me was COVID 2021, when it all sort of shifted. That's when I was working as an electrician at a factory. We had 2 beautiful girls at the time, another beautiful girl on the way, Maya. Found out we're pregnant early Jan. And it was 2021. So we found out we're pregnant, I think, 2022 early Jan. But at the end of 2021, that was when the government of Australia brought in these restrictions that you cannot work unless you had the vaccine. And that was the fork in the road moment for me, and my family, where we made the decision, like, fuck that, we don't want to get that shit. And I was deep into the whole, I guess, the resistance of what was happening, like, this is an outrage, and deep into the information, on the other side that wasn't getting broadcasted on the news. So at that stage, I did have a certain level of awareness where I was getting my inputs. I started getting into self-help and bettering myself, listening to a lot of beautiful audiobooks, podcasts. And then COVID hit. And I was like, fuck this shit. This is not for me. And what I explain it to be, that nudge from God, it's like this feeling inside of you that you can no longer deny it. You can no longer mask it. You can no longer numb it, because it's just too loud. Sometimes it takes like a really painful moment, a big breakdown where everything falls apart. For some people, it could be a breakdown in their marriage. They break up, or someone dies close to them. For them to really separate from the hypnosis, take a step back and take a look at themselves. But for me, there's a lot of pain going up around 2020. I was going through something else. One of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life at that time was, witnessing my brother go through so much pain. And as we went through that coincided with COVID. So there was a lot of pain inside of me, just thinking about it now. And I did reach that breaking point of like, well, I've had enough. There's something more. I'm hearing the calling, and the nudge is making a decision that goes against everything that was happening around me, in my environment, my family, and my wife's family. Like, what we're being told is the right thing to do. What everyone was doing, that was fucking hard, man. That was a very pivotal moment in my life, in my family's life, of saying, no, we're not going to get the vax. And that's when it all shifted. It's when the guide came in. And by guide, like, the guides are always here. You could say your guru, teachers. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And they're always here. It's just like being aware and starting to look for it. So sometimes it does take a lot of pain for you to actually start looking for it. And in this instance, at the same time as going through this whole, I had no idea what was going to happen with COVID. I had no idea. So saying no to the vax, I couldn't work. I didn't know what I was going to do for work. And that's what I was saying. We've got 2 girls, another girl on the way, renting a house. I literally had no idea how we're going to get any money to come in to survive almost. So I'm coming from that survival, fear-based energy. Because what the fuck do you do there? When your country tells you can't work, like that's like it's a pretty big moment. Like really, when you make a decision and your country tells you that you can't work, it's kind of a big thing. But anyways, I couldn't even have a coffee. Yeah, it's a big segregation, but it's a big chance to awaken too. And I went through a lot of that, waking up to life through that moment, which I'm very grateful for. And the guides came in. So at the same time this was happening, I was doing an awakening program where I was in this beautiful group, and every week we'd be having these Zoom calls, and I have a one-on-one with the mentor as well as the group calls. And what I was finding was I was finding myself in community. There's this private Facebook group where we could just openly express what we were going through, the thoughts that were coming up, what was happening in our life. And through that expression, I see myself. It's probably because I never really allowed myself to be seen my true self. I'd always try to hide it in fear of judgment and trying to be what other people wanted me to be. But this was the place where I could really be me. And so it happened. So I started to become aware of myself. And there were definitely more pivotal moments leading up to that. Like I said, it's all a journey, finding my path, which also led me to finding some incredible souls, which is insanely synchronistic, which just happens. Like, it's not insane. It's a reflection of you. And it happens when you're being you. That people show up, the ones that are resonating with the energy that you are. And, one of those beautiful souls is a good friend of mine, Maddie Gamble, who lives over in Sydney. And how he showed up for me was, I think it was December 21 when I started the Awakening program. I started in October, and then around December, I was a musician at the time as well. And I started doing some solo music, and I was recording this song called Awakening. And I released the song just before Christmas. And as I was advertising it, putting it on Instagram, Matty Gamble was going through his awakening over in Sydney as I was in the Awakening program. And actually, just to backtrack a little bit, how he found me, or how we found each other, was Aubrey Marcus did a post on social media talking about this darkness retreat that he went over in Germany, I think it is. And you're in complete darkness for 7 days. And he was talking about the mind in one of these days. And I remember just doing an Awakening program workshop and then going for a walk in the park. There's like a couple of little man-made lakes. And I remember just walking around, and I just seen that post, and I just wrote a comment on there. And then all of a sudden, Maddie's seen that comment, and then he shared it. And then he started following us. And then with that comment, I created a post from that like a week or two later. And then he shared it again. And then at the same time, I was creating that song Awakening, and I was releasing it. Maddie was going through his own awakening. And then he shared like a 12-minute video on his page. And the next thing that popped up for him was like my awakening video. He says, okay. And then he DM'd me. And then I jumped on my phone. I was at work. like jumped outside, hiding behind a generator that was not running, and ended up having a conversation with him sitting down. And I just remember everything we were just expressing, or like finishing each other's sentences, were just in complete resonance with the way that we were both experiencing life, but from two different sides of the country, gone through the same shit. And I just felt like, wow, it's such a special moment when you find people that are resonating the same as you, and you realize you're not alone. I think that's one of the biggest things, because in this journey it can be quite lonely sometimes, especially for the ones that feel a lot, because they tend to go inside, internalize, and be by themselves a lot, which can actually turn out to be a superpower when you realize. But that happens on the path when you take the step. You find those people tend to find you. Like, a lot of it comes to you. And throughout this whole experience, you stayed the same. Beautiful soul, Maddie. So I'm grateful for you, brother. We're all here for it. And you find these little resonating beings on your journey as you start to truly be you. And another one was Cam Rosen. And how I found Cam was just this incredible soul that was expressing his truth on Instagram, on these reels. And I ended up joining his community, which was like a year ago now, which is pretty crazy. And I could just feel this energy behind the words that Cam was expressing, and then going through joining his community and jumping on community calls, and it's just such a beautiful, calming presence, and someone that I do look up to, in the sense that they honor themselves. Like, they have an awareness of who they are, of what triggers them, of how they can create an environment that allows for flow to take place, and very confident. I love witnessing someone being themselves and expressing their true selves. So the guides tend to come as a reflection of you finding yourself. You see yourself in others. And I see myself in Cam and Maddie. And many more. Many, many more. Far out, man. That's the guides. The next one is the dark night of the soul. And in this particular experience, what I'm learning when I'm expressing things that involve other people, so not just my story, their story too, learning to be a bit more present to the realization that I can't just share all the shit, because I did that the hard way, and it's not really nice to share other people's shit, And so this particular dark night of the soul, I can share my experience. I was in this room. It's like a little cupboard storage area there. Can't even think of the word. And I was like, this experience took place, and I went down there to meditate, just to be with myself, because I'd never felt so much pain. I just felt this weight, this heaviness of anxiousness in my chest. And I just said, I just need to be with myself, put some music on, some meditative music, and I just sat with whatever was happening in that moment. And for this particular experience, this thought came up of, I'm not worthy. Like, I'm not enough. And I thought, there you are, you sneaky little fucker. I hadn't seen that thought, but that was like, that was the foundational belief under which all these thoughts stem from the umbrella. This feeling of unworthiness, and I relate that as my dark night of the soul moment. And we all have one, we all have this pain, this moment where we go through certain things in life. And a lot of the time we suppress ourselves, we isolate ourselves, or we numb ourselves with distractions. It could be social media, it could be watching TV, it could be porn. It could even be through distracting yourself with positive information of affirmations, meditations, audiobooks, books, podcasts, information. There's also that positive distraction too, taking you away from whatever is happening. And if you're going through an emotional state, it's natural that you want to numb yourself, or you want to take yourself out of that state. But what I've found in my journey, finding my path, is that what happens when you go through that experience? What happens if you allow yourself just to feel feelings? Because they're not you, but there's such a resistance in certain moments when it's happening. Allow yourself to feel it. And a beautiful happening takes place. Emotions come and go. But you're still here. That was the dark night of the soul. For me, it was unworthiness. For you, it could be something else. Everyone has their own program. So it's the self-reflection, which I really love, which for me, how I express or how I reflect all the bullshit, the programming, is through meditation, through journaling, through self-expression, through things like this, podcasting, and doing the reels and stuff. It's finding your flow, finding what works for you. That works for me. Clarity. So the next thing is, through all of this dance, I became an awakening coach, by the way, guys. And I was doing that for 1.5 years, and then got to a point where the direction of the awakening program was changing. It was pivoting, and I could feel I was no longer in alignment with how that was happening, which is awesome because I can actually determine the way that I feel and feel when I'm no longer in alignment. So it's not like a thinking thing. It comes from the heart. It's this thing. It's that intuitive, or the gut, that intuitive feeling of and when you get it, and then you just you don't listen to it, and then you just really suffer. A lot of the times it takes you down a path where you're you know what's right for you. You know what's right for you, and you just got to listen to it. Or if you don't listen to it, it'll just remind you until you learn from it. And I went down that path, awakening coach. I thought that was the thing for me. I was like, yes, I've got to tell the world. Everybody needs to wake up. Let's go. And then I seen the righteousness behind that of me thinking that I know the way, and reaching that fork in the road moment, which is not too dissimilar to that moment, that massive dark night of the soul moment of deciding I'm not going to take the vax, or now where I'm going to go, because I invested 1.5 years into this awakening program, all of my love, and hours and hours and hours, and then it's doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. Okay, then I left it, and then the thoughts came in of what the fuck am I going to do? But it's through taking action and through trial and error that you find your way. Even having this podcast, episode 28, man. When I started it, I had no idea that this would be anything, and now it's a beautiful place for me to express and also to give value and insights, to share my truth, to allow others to see themselves in the stories, in the energy that I am. but it all takes place naturally. Like I wasn't setting out to change the world through podcasting. I was just here to express myself, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it, and I tried a lot of things. I actually had a podcast before this called the Slank Podcast. I had 5 episodes, and it was just completely different time, man. Completely different energy coming from a place of fear. Whereas now I just really enjoy myself. I express it fully, and it wouldn't be possible for me to be here if I hadn't have gone through all the other stuff. That's the clarity that you gain in life when you actually follow your intuition and you actually just try things out. Not with the expectation that this has to be somewhere, but actually for the love of trying things out, for the love of being you, for the love of having fun and doing what you want to do. And it's taking consistent action. It's something that doesn't get talked about too often. But there is this part of us that we are already awakened. We are all of this beautiful manifestation of life, this physical experience. And we could sit here like this, and I have this morning, to sit here and meditate for hours. But there's also the inspiration, taking inspired action that comes with that. And so for me, coming back to my human design, Manifestor 3.6, 3 is trial and error. So all my life it's trying things out, seeing if it works. If the stove's hot, I need to touch it. You don't tell me that the stove's hot. I've got to try that out for myself. It's fucking hot, bro. So having fun with that. You gain clarity as you just take action, and you will find your way by being you. And for me, that means limiting distractions and even information becomes more and more clear when you allow that space, you clear up that space for it to find you. There's clarity, there's purpose in accelerations. Purpose, I feel like I'm living it now, and I feel like it's always going to change. Like I'm coaching, starting the one-on-one coaching, which is beautiful, looking at launching my coaching program that's going to happen when that happens. And my purpose is just being me, being my true authentic self. And in that, allowing others to see themselves, to free themselves from any idea that they have to be a certain way in this life. They just have to be themselves. They don't even have to be, they just have to let go of all the other stuff, and then themselves gets revealed. That's the truth in this dance. So finding my purpose, I found it through listening to the inner knowing, trusting, as hard as that can be sometimes, surrender, my goodness. And just giving it up, man. And letting it go. And letting it be. And it seems to find you. It's a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's what success is. There is no finish line destination. It's literally, it's you being able to show up as your true self, and all of a sudden you do get paid for that. The reflection is abundance, right? That's the whole acceleration side of it, which is, you're on the journey with me. You get to see it take place, which is pretty special. Like where I'm at right now, I'm so grateful, and I can see where it's heading. But for right now, like coming back to the blessings, how blessed we are to breathe, how blessed we are to wake up, and for me it's to meditate. How blessed I am to live in this house that has a roof that warms our family, how blessed I am to have a family who are all sleeping right now, just outside that door. To have a beautiful wife who is so strong and such a incredible mum, and goes through all the challenges that all mums do, and the self-doubt and the guilt, trying to do the best they can, but really they are the true superheroes behind all of this. These men showing up, speaking on a podcast, but the reality is, like, there's a foundation behind all of this that allows this to take place. And, if this is inspirational, well, wait till you meet my wife. She's a far out, like a female Eckhart Tolle. And still going through her shit, which I love that. And then there's the girls, the three beautiful souls. The gurus. I'm blessed to live life with them. Blessed to be able to sip a cacao. Thank you, Murphy. I'm blessed to be able to speak into a microphone and share my story, share my path, in the belief that you will hear something for yourself in this message. Maybe it's where you're at. Maybe you're moving through something. Blessed to be able to express. Blessed that you're here too, on your journey, going through your shit, being human, finding your way, wherever you are. Just know that you're exactly where you need to be. And know that you're not alone. I feel that's important too. You're not alone. We're all here for it. We're all here on the journey, on the path. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. May you find whatever it is you're looking for. May you look for it. Because whatever you look for, you will find. Much love on your journey. Much love now.